Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another sociology commentary video, and today is going to be particularly interesting because I've been binge watching a lot of anti-MLM videos, and I was thinking, what is it about MLMs? From a sociological standpoint, like what is it that gets people into them? And something that seemed to pop up quite a lot in anti-MLM videos is that MLMs seem a lot like a cult. Okay, I'm going to explain all of these terms in this video, but basically today we're going to try and figure out, are MLMs cults, and try to figure out the similarities and differences between them. Now, before I start, I wanted to put out a little bit of a disclaimer out here. So this is a compilation of my research, my experiences with MLMs, and also people who I know that were in MLMs. So this is not intended to like badmouth or like targeting or speaking badly of people in MLMs or cults. I'm just comparing the structure of MLMs and cults and just looking at them from an academic sociological standpoint. So I hope this makes sense. Don't come for me, basically. So first of all, what are cults? Let's get these definitions out of the way. So Troeltsch, Stark, and Bainbridge are notable scholars who study like religions and cults. So that's what we're basing most of our sociological research and standpoint from. So first of all, my notes are behind you, so that's where I'm going to be looking sometimes. But yeah, so cults and sects are confused a lot of the times, right? Sects as an S-E-C-T. Most of the time people call sects cults and cults sects, like they're mixed up. So what are the differences between cults and sects? Sects are small religious groups that are offshoots of an existing religion and are in a high degree of tension with the outside world. So Mormonism would be an example of this. I don't know too much about them, but they are a Christian sect that borrows some teachings from the Bible and like mainstream Christianity. However, they do impose a lot of their own like rules and things that are not accepted by mainstream Christianity. And then cults, on the other hand, are small religious groups that are often based around a religion from another society. So they can be divided into three types: audience cults, client cults, and cultic movements, right? And audience cults, they require like little commitment from their followers, and they often act as entertainment. So something like astrology or like crystal readings and things like. So obviously some people like really do follow it, but some people just kind of like dip their toes in and out. So it's not really a cult. You wouldn't call these a cult, right? You wouldn't outright say, oh, that's a cult, and because it's so kind of subtle. Secondly, you have client cults. So these are cults that offer services to their followers who are seen as customers. So they offer a way of enhancing life rather than a full alternative lifestyle. So things like Scientology, and I feel like this is where network marketing and MLMs fit best, but I'll expand why in a second. Thirdly, we have cultic movements, and members might be expected to give up their entire life and go to a commune and like cut off everyone from their lives and go live in a cult. Basically, this is one where you're like, yeah, that's 100% a cult, like 100%. They cut themselves off from the world. They don't allow each other to go out, and things often turn a little bit sketchy. So for example, the Anthill Kids, the Anthill Kids cult is an example of a cult. So they went and lived on a hill, and they are called the Anthill Kids because the cult leader like saw himself as like the Messiah or something, and they would work and they looked like ants, so it was called the Anthill Kids. And there's kind of a debate around whether religions are cults and whether cults are religions, because there's a whole thing about new age religions, new religious movements coming out. So a lot of these are like new age, like spiritual movements and things. However, these can be quite dangerous because, as we will see from MLMs, they can get caught up in a lot of conspiracy theories. So there's a framework to identify a cult. So, just in case you ever come across a cult, this is how you can identify them. It's called the BITE model from Stephen Hassan, and it's BITE. So B is behavior control, I is information control, T is thought control, and E is emotional control. So I'll kind of like break them down into I'll briefly skim over which each one is so you can get a better idea. So first of all, behavior control. Behavior control is like regulating who they meet with, where they go, where they're allowed to go, what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. So things like, you're not allowed to watch music videos, or you're not allowed to go and meet with a certain friend, you're not allowed to meet with relatives outside of this cult, and you have to ask permission to do a lot of things. And then information control is kind of self-explanatory, right? So you're not allowed to watch the news, you're not allowed to you're not questioning what you're being told by the cult. You kind of block everything else out, right? So you're only accepting information from one source or a certain source. So this can be deliberately withholding information from these people, minimizing, discouraging access from mainstream or non-cult sources of information, so newspapers, news channels, things like that. And also something else is that you're encouraged to spy on other members. You're encouraged to snitch if you catch someone doing something they're not supposed to. So that's very controlling. Thought control is basically you have to accept what you're being told. So it's very kind of similar to information control, except this is in your head, right? Your reality is this cult. There is nothing else outside of that. Your identity is literally this thing. And there's a lot of I'm just having a look at my notes. There's a lot of thought stopping techniques and allowing only positive thoughts about this cult, because obviously they don't want you to leave. So it's a lot of chanting, singing, meditating, and speaking in random languages and tongues. Chanting is a big one, kind of we can do it, we love this, blah 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 blah, all of that stuff. And you're basically told to accept this new reality. Finally, we have emotional control, which is basically manipulation. And you're told to stop thinking negative thoughts. You're told that you're the problem. You're told that it's your fault that all this is happening, when actually you're obviously not in control and you're being manipulated. So there's a lot of guilt in this kind of thing. Next, let's talk about MLMs. What are MLMs? MLMs means multi-level marketing. This is going to be very confusing. They have a multitude of different names. They have MLM, network marketing, social selling, direct selling, all that stuff. That's all the same thing. And I think they change names because certain things get a bad reputation. So MLM is kind of getting a bad rap now. So they're using more network marketing or social selling because they're really big on social media, and that's how they recruit a lot of people. So basically MLMs are they kind of pyramid schemes. So let me explain what pyramid scheme is first, and then I'll add on some information that constitutes an MLM. So pyramid schemes are scams, and the business model is just recruiting. So I recruit you and someone else, and I get paid for recruiting you and the other person. And then you recruit someone else below you, and you get paid, you get commission on recruiting those two people. But because I recruited you, I also get commission from you recruiting them. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of confusing. And everyone kind of recruit more people underneath you. So you can imagine it looks very much like a pyramid. So that is a pyramid scheme. The only thing you get paid for is recruiting. MLMs are very smart. They seem to be a legit business selling a legit product. Yes, they might have a product, but the issue is you don't get enough money. You can't live off simply selling the products unless you sell it to 1 million people, because of several different factors. The products are often overpriced. They're not they're not revolutionary. They're not amazing. Otherwise, if they're amazing, they would be in places like Boots, Superdrug, or Target, right? If you're in the US. The only reason you can't get them in stores is because you can only get them through these reps, these network marketers, the people within the company, which is weird, right? And they might say, oh yeah, I'm cutting out the middleman. However, the reason why they're overpriced is also because these reps need to get commission from selling them, right? So they're getting literal pennies from selling these products, and you have to sell a certain amount to get paid a certain amount. However, in order to actually get a livable income, you need to build a team. And guess what? This team is recruiting, and your team also needs to build a team below them. The team below them needs to also build a team. And guess what? It looks very much like a pyramid as well. But they will always say Oh no, but corporate America, or like the corporate world, is a pyramid as well, because obviously you got the CEO at the top, you got your like directors, presidents, VPs of various departments, and you got managers, you got like your normal, like bottom level people. And sure, that's the hiring structure, but the company doesn't need to hire to make money, right? They have a product that they're selling that literally makes them money. So, like a shop, they're selling products and not recruiting people to sell more products. Because if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because you're basically creating more competition for yourself by recruiting other people to do exactly the same thing, to recruit more people. So the pool of people is starting to dry up very quickly. So yeah, that's why MLMs are basically pyramid schemes. Some examples of MLMs that you may have heard of or may not, because they're kind of like under the radar and kind of dodgy, is things like Arbonne, Monet, um, Tropics, Boots at Home. Sorry, not Boots at Home. Body Shop at Home. Body Shop has an MLM branch. I know, crazy. What else is there? There is those are the big ones. But there's also IntelliTravel / Planet Marketing. They're an MLM. I think those are like the major examples that I can think of. There's a lot more as well. There's like LuLaRoe. Oh my gosh, LuLaRoe. I don't know anyone who's selling that, so that's fine. But they're really bad apparently. How to spot one is if they don't mention the name of the business. They slide into your DMs like, "Hey babe, I love your feed. I love your Instagram feed. I have this opportunity and I think you'd be great for it." That's 100% MLM. Don't reply, run, block, say goodbye, just delete the message. Because like the reason they're not mentioning the company, I don't know why they never mention the company. They always say the business, my business. They also say they're business owners, which they're really not, because they're really a salesperson for the company that they're working for. So for example, Arbonne, I've met so many people who are in Arbonne. Don't even tell me about Arbonne. Like I almost got sucked into it. Let me know if you want me to make a separate video on my experience and all the people that I know that have been in MLMs. Obviously, I'll keep them anonymous, but I'll tell the story. So Arbonne sells health and wellness products. So they use that as a mask to say that they're a legit MLM, a legit network marketing company. But the thing is, it's such a thin line between MLM and pyramid schemes. It's really dangerous because they're selling the lifestyle, they're selling financial freedom, able to work anywhere. But the truth is, you'll be working everywhere and all the time because it's so hard to recruit people. You have to message like 100 people for 2 people to get back to you because no one wants to do anything. No one wants to have anything to do with MLMs or be sucked into it, right? Basically, they're taking advantage of people, which is morally wrong, right? And the reason why they're dangerous is because they fly under the radar. You're constantly defending yourself from like people disowning you basically as friends or like family because you're in this scam and you're trying to scam them, and it's really annoying. What other company needs you to defend them that much, right? Like it just doesn't make sense. If you want to learn more about MLMs, definitely watch these channels right here, because they have been really informative in my research after realizing, oh my goodness, I've been almost sucked into a lot of these things. And also the income disclosure statements are horrific. Like I was looking at one of them in IntelliTravel, and the employees literally get paid like the normal level reps at the very bottom of all active reps. They literally get paid like $190 a year. $190 a year. Just go get a job, and you'll get paid a lot more than that. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, so that's the end of this section. In the next section, I'll be comparing cults to MLMs. So let's get on to the next part of the video, which is all about comparing cults to MLMs and seeing the similarities and differences between them. So the main similarity between cults, New Age movements, and MLMs is a love of the new and a rejection of tradition. So this is not necessarily bad, and there is a healthy amount of skepticism that is, necessarily for not being naive and innocent and falling for everything. However, there is a line, right? There is a line to how much you reject something, and especially when this causes dangers to others, that's when it becomes really dangerous. This is also reflected in the tendencies of MLMers to be, anti-vaxxers, anti-maskers, that kind of thing. And just take Monet, for example. They had like a conference in Las Vegas, I think, during the pandemic, literally during the pandemic. So imagine, and all the trips that they were promised, and they didn't get to go on because they were cancelled, but they actually went anyway, a lot of them. So, spreading germs, spreading all that. Another similarity between MLMs and New Age movements and cults is that they rely on preying on people who are marginalized, who are vulnerable. So, the decline in organized religion, right, actually left a hole for New Age movements and cults to fill in. There was a void. So, similar to that, with the economic crisis, with people, feeling like they're lost and they're looking for a purpose, this is when MLMs are like, right, this is where we need to get in there. This is who we need to prey on. People who like students who have no real knowledge of the real world. Yeah, they're just kind of coming out. They want jobs. They want to feel like they're independent. And so MLMs prey on this. I have seen this happen too many times at my own university, and I almost was preyed on as well. So let me know if you want to hear that story in another video. And MLMs also tend to prey on people who want a community. So this is why you'll see them prey on lonely people. For example, military spouses. That's a really good, not really good. That's a really big community of MLMs because, they are moving around because of their spouses' jobs, and therefore they want a community, and MLMs prey on that. And going off of that, women are way more likely to be involved in cults and MLMs than men, right? Maybe this is because of the above points about marginalization and the vulnerability and the need for community. And like I said before, there is a type of cult called client cults. This is a cult where they offer advancing and enhancing their followers' lives. So this is the most similar to an MLM, I think, in my opinion, because MLMs, especially the wellness ones, to be honest, all of them claim to help you grow and develop as a person, aka advance your life and enhance your life, right? So that really is culty behavior and characteristic. Another big tactic, let me take our water bottle from our bowl. Anyway, another tactic that I see a lot of is preying on paranoia. So this links back to the first one about like conspiracy theories and people who like to reject the establishment and like medicine and science and things like that, right? MLMs prey on the fear of these things, and they prey on cutting you out of their lives. Once you're love bombed, which I'll talk about in a second, welcomed into this community, they'll start saying, like, if you don't work hard, you're going to lose all of this. And they prey on your fear because of all these aforementioned characteristics of the people who get preyed on, who are vulnerable, who need money, who want a community. If you suddenly say, if you don't do it, I'm going to cut all this off from you, of course they're going to feel scared. Of course they're going to feel like they need to work. And love bombing is a tactic of manipulation in order to gain your trust. This is most commonly huge demonstrations of affection and attention. So when you're welcome into a group chat, they're like, oh, we love you, welcome. And it makes you feel like you're really loved and you're really welcome. But in fact, this is just setting the foundation for you to really believe and trust them, so that when they manipulate you, you're less likely to notice. And from an article that I read, it basically says that love bombing means that you gain a target's trust by making them feel loved and accepted, to essentially disguise any sign of manipulation in order to be able to influence them and the way they behave without raising suspicion. So it's the without raising suspicion piece, because you're so into it and so trusting that you don't question anything that goes on, which is very, very unfortunate. It's something that goes on in cults, and I see this a lot in MLMs as well. So, and the biggest thing, I think, is the false promises of transformation. They'll tell you, I know why you're sad. I have been there before, I've been financially unstable before, but look, now I'm in this MLM. Look, I'm now in this cult. I've got this huge community, got loads of friends. I'm popular. I'm making 10K a month or whatever, right? But the thing is, all of these are false. This is all false hope and false promises that there are no guarantees, because if you read the income disclosure claims, which I have mentioned before, and if not, here you go, put another one on, of IntelliTravel, it becomes very clear very quickly that you're not going to make any money. You're very unlikely to make any money that you can live off. And that's how they get you in. They rope you in with promises that they can't deliver, and by then you're already so far into it that they're exercising all these other cult tactics to keep you in. And it's also really unfortunate that MLMs are rife and really popular within religions, specifically Christianity. And it is also very unfortunate that this particular brand of Christianity is associated with a lot of things that aren't really Christian at all. But that's another topic for another day. So just briefly going over the BITE model again, which is how to identify a cult: behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. MLMs tick all these boxes for the reasons that I've mentioned before. So next time you spot one, see if you can tick all these boxes. That'll be really interesting. So that concludes the video. I know there was a lot to digest. If you have ever been in an MLM, please let us know your experience as fully as you'd like, and talk about whether you see these similarities with the cult. And if you'd like me to elaborate on my experiences with MLMs, definitely let me know as well. Thumbs up this video and I'll definitely do that probably in the future, because it's very interesting. And it's insane how many people in my life who have actually either gone into it or were in it. Like, it's really weird. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Like, please keep the comment section nice, no hate going on there. You will be blocked if there is any hate. Hope you enjoyed this commentary video, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.